Instead, and I can say this from experience because my good buddy Paul Yaffe dropped a 131 in his bike, phenomenal bike, but he didn't leave that motor stock. He put a fueling cam chest kit in it, right? He used that cam to wake that motor up and open it up. And that was a good motor. The one that we're gonna do is gonna put out even more horsepower and torque. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with, you know, what's out there, but there's always room for improvement. And yes, you get to a point, you know, where you can be kicking it up. We can go to 160, 170 horsepower and we start worrying about twisting the drivetrain or bending the frame or what. Now we got to buff up the swing arm and stuff like that. So we're going to build rideable, not ridiculous. So talking to Rodney from Revolution, he makes that Bagger Racing League 131 performance motor. We're going to get a street version of that. Here's the advantage. In a lot of places, you know, around the country, when you pull out a major component like the engine or the frame, you have to go and retitle that. You got to go in front of your Department of Transportation. You got to fill out paperwork. They relabel it. You know, all of a sudden it's not titled as a Harley Davidson anymore. It's titled as a custom bike or a rebuild. Well, I don't think it depreciates or takes away from the value, but some people think it does. Okay, so you've got this Harley, you want to keep it titled as a Harley. We use your stock components. Building this 131 racing motor with street application, we're going to use your stock set of cases. That serial number that came on that bike on those cases is not going to change. All right, and maybe I'm a glutton for punishment, or maybe I'm just stubborn, but there's something to be said for taking apart a motor and rebuilding it up to this Beast 131, as opposed to pulling out that motor and then grabbing this other motor and throwing it in. It's, if you think about it, it's part of this, I call it the replacement generation, right? We now live in a world where it's more inexpensive to just go buy a new car than it is to fix your old one. Okay, what's wrong with that? There's something wrong with that, you know? The way cars and automobiles or motorcycles and things are being built now, they're built as disposable. I don't really care for that. You know, something breaks, you fix it. You don't just run out and buy another one. Okay, so that's what part of the mentality that I'm in here with these motors is. We're going to take that existing motor, we're going to split it, break it, cut it down, get it all, break it down to parade rest, right? Get it all the way down as far as we can go. And then we're going to modify the cases, we're going to modify the flywheels, we're going to use bigger cylinders and pistons, we're going to take those existing heads and we're going to do head work to them, we're going to put some fueling goodies in there, and we're going to create a 131 out of that stock set of cases that is going to dog the shit out of any Screaming Eagle crate motor. Sorry, I can prove it. I'm not just talking smack.
Yeah, this sounds good then. You know, that's very interesting.
And I choose to use fueling parts, okay? The fueling team are very good friends of mine, but I wouldn't just buy something because guys are my friends. I buy something because their stuff is the best. Their oil pumps are the best, their cam support plates, their lifters, their cams, they're the best. And their logo or their motto is no bullshit, just performance. Okay, so we're gonna start with the motor, and we're gonna build up that motor. Okay, now we can't just think about this for a second, it's a drive train, right? Engine, transmission, primary. We can't just put this fire-breathing 150 horsepower 131 in there and leave everything else stock. You just can't. Shit's gonna break. It's not if, it's when. It's gonna break. So we go to the transmission. Well, we're not gonna leave that stock transmission in there. We're gonna use the stock case. And then we're gonna go to my friends in Michigan at Baker Drivetrain. Burt Baker, think the world of that guy. The guy has forgotten more about drivetrain technology than most people are gonna know in their life. And we're gonna put a grudge box in that thing. And that grudge box is gonna back up that motor, and it's bulletproof.
What's a grudge box? Is that like a terminology for what type of transmission?
It's a terminology for a cassette for a 6-speed cruise drive transmission is what you have. We're going to take out all those guts, and we're going to put inside the case, we're going to put this grudge box. And it means, or it stands for exactly like the name sounds, okay? You can hold a grudge against this thing because it's just badass. You can be jealous of it because it is badass. Everything's beefier, everything's stronger, everything's better, okay? We're going to get rid of that stock main drive gear bearing that has ball bearings with plastic cages, and we're going to put 2 Timken bearings in there so that all the power you throw at that bike is going to be handled by that transmission. Obviously, as part of an engine upgrade, we usually upgrade the clutch. You have to have that better clutch to handle all that horsepower. Same thing with the transmission. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to put a bulletproof recluse or barnet, depending on availability, clutch in that bad boy. Okay. So we're going to give you all the power that you can handle, and we're going to give you all the power that you want. You're going to be happy with that. Well, if the bike handles like a turd, what good is all that power?
Right.
So there's no point in it. So now we turn to the suspension. Okay. With the suspension, we use Legends around here. Now, we did Revo A's on the back of the Road King and an Axo front. We're going to kick it up a notch. We're doing Revo Arcs on the Street Glide. We're going to do Axo in the front still because of the front end that we're doing. But you're going to have that handling and performance that you want out of the suspension of that bike. So when you're pushing that bike to the limit, that bike can handle it. It can take it. You're going to input, and it's going to give it right back to you. You know what I mean? It's going to read everything you're doing. You look, you lean, you feel, you turn. That bike's going to give it to you. Okay. And so we've handled the suspension. Again, we're talking about that performance still. We're still on performance. We haven't gotten away from that. Now, sometimes things are done on motorcycles just for looks, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, guy buys a vivid black bike, but he wants a custom paint job. That custom paint job don't make that bike go any faster, right? It's just for looks. It just looks cool. Well, we're doing a thing that looks cool, but that's not the point of it. Paul Yaffe, my good friend, for several years, developed what we call the SRT, Steam Roller Touring. Okay. Now, we all know that the big wheels, the Ferris wheels, the 26s, the 30s, those were in style. And you could make those bikes handle fine, but that was not a performance upgrade. And then all of a sudden, the trend became fat tires. Fat tire in the front. Gotta have a 180, gotta have this big tire in the front. And again, those bikes handled fine, but they were just mainly for looks. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Well, this ain't that. Okay. The Steam Roller Touring, the SRT, is a performance wide tire kit for the front of the motorcycle. Okay. If you think about way back in the day when a bike had a 130 and a 130 on the back, and those bikes tracked great. Well, Paul put in the time. He put in the research. He developed, he tested, he developed again, and he developed the SRT. The SRT, Steam Roller Touring Kit, basically what we do is we cut your neck and we put 7 degrees in it with a billet steel billet steel neck block. And we put it in there into the original frame, original neck, and we rake it out 7 degrees. After we're done with that billet steel block, it's actually stronger than when it came from the factory. We obviously, do all the gusseting and everything required. That's 7 degrees, and then we put a set of raked triple trees on it. It gives us a total of 14 degrees more than stock. Well, we're not going to put a stock tire on that. The geometry is not going to work. What our goal here is to get the best possible trail possible. Right? And we understand that motorcycle trail is when we draw a line through the frame down to the ground. We draw a vertical line through the axle, and the horizontal distance on the ground is what's called trail. Ideal trail is between 3.5 6.5 inches. Okay. So using this wide, bigger tire, we've got to get the trail right. That's where the neck brake comes in. So with that, we use longer tubes. You could just extend your existing tubes with what comes in the kit, that's fine. But if you want the best ride possible, well then we drop in Legend Axo. And this Legend Axo is used in conjunction with Tri-Glide tubes. The Tri-Glide tubes for trikes are longer, so they fit the SRT perfectly. And that Axo that Jesse Jerns developed is not just for trikes, but it's also developed for the SRT as well. So now we have a 180 front tire, 180 back tire, everything 09 and later bagger, and we have perfect trail. Yes, it looks really cool, but that's not what it's about. The thing with this wide tire kit is it's the best handling bike. The bike becomes lighter, more nimble. But also, with this wide tire kit, there's zero compromise. None. Zero. Okay. You don't, with other fat tire kits, and I like to differentiate between wide tire and fat tire. With other fat tire kits, you have to do something to make it work. You have to cut out your fender. You have to cut out or get cowbells that are cut out. Excuse me. You have to put travel limiters in your front suspension. So instead of getting your full 3.5 inches of travel, now you only get 2.5 inches. So you hit that hard bump and all of a sudden, you know, you're jarred. SRT, none of that. SRT is zero compromise. You get full suspension travel. You get perfect trail. You don't have to cut anything out. Everything fits, okay? That's where it gets cool. Okay? And we take, ultimately our goal is to take that bike into something that will carve corners, carve through a canyon, be comfortable as hell to ride down the road, whether it be straight or curvy or whatever, and of course look cool. But when we talk about the performance we're doing on this bike, we're talking about the Revolution Performance Fueling Parts Devil Custom Cycles motor, Baker transmission, we're talking about Legend suspension, and we're talking about the Steam Roller Touring Kit. That's our performance side of it. Now, with your bike, that's a mouthful, right?
I better go get a part-time job.
With your Street Glide,
Holy smokes.
with your Street Glide now, the next phase, or the next thing that we incorporate is the style, okay? Let's face it, nobody, I don't care who they are, nobody wants to pull up in no parking lot and put their kickstand down and be in a sea of identical bikes. Going back to that individuality.
This is what's happened to me.
I know.
It's a
Awesome.
curse.
Feels good, doesn't it?
It's a curse, but it's the best thing
feels
that's ever
so
happened
good.
to me.
Yeah. So we are going to put some style in that bike. We're going to give it lines. Good friend of mine, Donnie Smith, my sponsor for the hamsters, and a guy that's forgotten more about building motorcycles than most people will know in their life. He said, you know, people like custom bikes, but they don't know why they like them. They like it because of the lines. And if you look really hard at one of Donnie's bikes, all the lines are perfect. They always flow, they always meet, they always mesh, they always go together. I mean, he is the man, right? And so that's what guys like me strive for, is we try to create lines in your bike. We want to flow. And I'm not talking about something swoopy or ridiculous. We want whatever works to work together. We want the flow. If it's got lines here, we want those same lines back here. Again, we want somebody to look at a bike and be like, wow. But again, they might not know why they like it. They just understand the lines. So we're going to do some custom paint. We're going to get rid of those big bulky turn signals. We're going to put a nice flowing back end on it. Again, Bagger Nation. We're going to put a back end on it that looks cool, but you'll never scrape it. We're going to use this Razorback stretch tank. Okay, that's a big bike. We're gonna beef up the front with that SRT front wheel. We can't just leave the rest of the bike stock.
Right.
It'll look disproportionate. So we're gonna stretch it out on the tank, we're gonna stretch it out in the back, and we're gonna make everything flow. Okay. Going back to performance, we're probably not just gonna leave the brakes stock. A lot of people think about going fast, people don't think about stopping fast.
Right.
We gotta stop fast too. So we're gonna upgrade the brakes, of course. Now, again, with that style, that's when we let Eric come in and do his thing with the paint, okay? I've got some colors in my head that, just from listening to you talk, you know, I've got some colors in my head that we're gonna, you know, kind of clue in on, and we're gonna make some things, you know, work. It's funny because Long ago, it was chrome exchange. There wasn't enough chrome on that bike. We had to chrome it out. Chrome, 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 chrome. Okay. Then a couple years later, the trend came into this working man's bike, and I just want to ride, I don't want to clean it. And so we had to black it out. Everything's murdered out. If you look in the shop, what do you see? Black powder coated stuff everywhere, right? And then 2018, Harley Davidson decided to come out with black bikes on the showroom floor. Well, that typical rebellious nature of the Harley rider, well, I don't want mine black. I want some color now. We're not going to go back to chrome, but now we're going to get into color. And that has been fantastic. Okay, that has been a fun experience, and I hope it keeps going. And I don't really care what anybody else does. I know what because I like colors. I like to throw a little bit of color in there. I like to accent the pieces and parts and components of the bike. I don't want a big all chrome or all black bike where everything just blends together. I want you to visualize that V-twin, that iconic V-twin, by me accenting the pushrod tubes, you know what I mean, and showing that perfect V-twin. So I've got some really cool ideas, I think, on some cool colors that are going to be subtle, but also just pow, you know, in your face type of thing.
Good.
And they got to be tasteful.
I'm going to sleep well tonight. I feel much better.
We're almost done.
No.
We got more.
I know, but I just had to make that statement. I'm getting excited because now
Well, I hope the heat works.
I think that you know, because of this deal with the motor, you know, doing this bagger nation, this or whatever the heck it's called, this new bagger race.
BRL, bagger racing.
You know, that's like everybody's into that thing, and it's just awesome. And to hear that they associated with that, I want to be associated too. So I think it's really cool stuff.
I've got a lot of friends that race in that and that have bikes and sponsor it. And
so this SRT is going to be just pretty much, except it's just like the Copper Glide, except that's a road glide and this is a street glide.
That's right.
Same principle.
That's right. Now, we've got a plan, because we're just not gonna cookie cutter out and build the same bike.
Right.
Right. We're going to do the Road King in a certain way. We're going to do the Copper Glide in a certain way, Road Glide. We're going to do the Street Glide in a certain way. And they're all going to be phenomenal in their own right. Okay. Which brings me to the comfort part. All right. We're talking about that Street Glide. It's got to be comfortable. Okay. I don't know who developed the handlebars for the Street Glide. I don't know whose idea that was, but somebody ought to take that guy out and whoop him. Okay. Or girl, whoever did it. Because nobody likes them. I mean, they're like, yeah, they're okay. And the thing is, people don't know how bad they are until we change the bars.
Exactly. I had to I'm going through that experience now.
Exactly. So I think what they did, the goal there, was they put handlebars on it that a guy that's 5'2" and a guy that's 6'4" all could ride it. Right? That's what they're trying to do. That's their goal, sell motorcycles, right? So now we're going to tailor that Street Glide to you. Okay? We're going to make it fit Craig. Other gals would be able to ride it, but for you, this is going to be like a custom-made tailored suit. Okay? You're coming to the motorcycle tailor now. You know what I mean? And we're going to measure you out. And we're going to, you see what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And so when you sit on that bike,
I feel measured out. I feel tailored.
That bike is going to be an exact fit for you. The seat, the handlebars, the foot controls, everything is going to be exactly the way you want it, where you want it, how you want it. Okay? So that when you sit in that bike, you feel like it was custom made for you. You're throwing on that suit that was custom made for you. It's got your style, it's got your performance, it's got your comfort.
Sounds wonderful. I'm excited. I feel a lot more comfortable. I'm sorry, but I'm a simple guy and I don't understand things like you understand things, and I'm a little bit closer and I am happy and
I don't know anything. I don't know anything. We're figuring it out.
Now you have a little thing going on at the end of May, right?
We do.
Where you're having a little party around here. Can people come here and see an SRT?
We'll see a couple of them.
Okay, good. So
we call it the Deadwood Spring Motorcycle Fling, which is kind of corny. It sounds a little corny, but that's okay. I don't really care. That's kind of the fun of it, is it's goofy. It's a day where we want people to come and hang out, and we're not doing any work. We're just talking about motorcycles. We're showing some of the stuff we've been working on all winter. You know, we're going to have free food. We're going to have live music. It's a party. You know, we just want people to come out and experience the shop. Good. Talk to the guys, you know, talk to all the hard workers, you know, that are in the back, and just enjoy everything motorcycles, really.
Very cool. Well, any of you that can come and see the SRT. And
are we going to upload this before then?
Well, I'm going to, sure as heck I'm supposed to. I will. And thank you. It's been a nice 3 days. You've taught me some more good stuff. I'm trying to talk Jason into hiring me to change oil and take wrench a little bit so I learn more about motorcycles.
Have you figured out one thing yet?
What?
I'm pretty good at spending your money.
I don't even know how to respond to that, but I'm having a good time, folks. I am. I don't know what happened to me. You know, I got back involved in this stuff with these beautiful Harley Davidson motorcycles, and I'm telling you, after 1 year of floating around with these 7 bikes, I got disappointed. I just started learning too much about some of the weakness in the bikes, and, you know, I had a big problem here, and yes, it's expensive, but you know what? If you're messing with the bike, you know, that's expensive. Anything you can do to change these things like we've talked about will certainly enhance your experience with motorcycles, and that's what I'm doing. I'm taking it up to the next level, and we're going to go ahead and take these bikes and twist and turn them, and I'm going to report back to you and let you know how I feel. I hope I like everything, because I don't think there's anywhere else to go beyond Jason.
We guarantee you're going to love it.
You hear that? That's a wonderful thing to hear.
I guarantee it.
It's so nice to come in here and get your bike worked on and not have to deal with the guys at the Harley shop. I'm a happy guy. So I'm going to pack it up. Thank you, Jason.
You're an exceptional dresser too, I might add.
Yeah, you will not ever. I'm done with the Harley crap. No more Harley hat, no more Harley shirt, because you know what? They didn't do a damn thing to help me, okay? So he's done a lot to help me, so I'm going to do whatever I can to help him. So over and out. I'm going to come down here for that little get-together on the 30th.
29th.
Or the 29th, and hope to see some of you people there. So thank you very much, and thank you, Jason.
You got it.
Okay, brother.
All right, man.